Sometimes the biggest stories in the universe don't start with some giant explosion, but with just a tiny, faint dot of light. Today, we're going to unravel a scientific mystery that started out as a totally routine discovery and ended with all of humanity facing a staggering new reality right here in our own backyard.
Just think about that question for a second. It sounds like something straight out of science fiction, right? But it became the central, honestly terrifying, and exhilarating puzzle for astronomers all over the world. It's a question that makes you rethink everything you thought you knew about our place in the cosmos.
So where does this all start? Well, like a lot of modern discoveries, it begins with an automated system just quietly doing its job on a night in Hawaii.
So this system, the Asteroid Terrestrial Impact Last Alert System, or ATLAS for short, it flags this fast-moving object. Right away, its speed and its path made one thing crystal clear. This thing wasn't one of ours. It was designated 3I/Atlas, and get this, it was only the third confirmed object we had ever seen that came from the vast space between the stars.
The best way to think about an interstellar object is to picture it as a tourist. It's just passing through, right? It's on a journey that should see it zip through our solar system, say hi, and then head right back out into the void, never to return. The most important thing to remember here is this: it's not supposed to stay.
And for a little while, 3I/Atlas was playing by the rules. It was following a perfect hyperbolic trajectory. Think of it like a slingshot path, a really sharp, open curve that proves it has way too much speed to get caught by our sun's gravity. It was just passing through. Or so we thought.
Because that nice, simple story about a visiting space rock? Yeah, it was about to take a very, very sharp turn.
As it was cruising past the orbit of Jupiter, the numbers that were coming back to Earth, they just didn't add up. The object was doing something that should have been impossible, something that completely defied the known laws of physics for a simple comet.
Okay, now comets can speed up. The sun heats their icy surfaces, gas shoots out, and they get a little push. It's called outgassing. But that is not what was happening here. This object's thrust was smooth and constant, not sputtering and random like a comet's. Plus, this was happening way out past Jupiter, where the sun is way too weak to cause that kind of reaction. This wasn't a natural process. It felt controlled. And that is when Dr. Lena Petrova over at JPL just dropped the bombshell. After running every possible simulation, every model they had, the conclusion was inescapable. That little push wasn't random gas. It was a propulsion system. The object was actively, intelligently steering itself.
This question just hung in the air at every space agency on the planet, and so the world's most powerful eye, the James Webb Space Telescope, was turned to find the answer.
The data that came back, it changed everything. This wasn't some lumpy, potato-shaped asteroid tumbling through space. It was perfectly symmetrical. The light bouncing off it wasn't from rock or ice. No, it was from polished metals, from artificial alloys. And its speed, it was moving so mind-bogglingly fast, its journey couldn't have even started in our galaxy.
And when we say extragalactic, let's just pause on that word for a second. We're not talking about a trip from a nearby star. We are talking about a journey across millions of light years of empty, dark space, the unimaginable void that separates entire galaxies. It's a scale of travel we can barely even comprehend.
The only hypotheses that fit all the data, every single piece of the puzzle, was the most incredible one you could imagine. This was an artifact, an ancient probe that had crossed the intergalactic void, and its faint engine was now just making tiny final course corrections after a journey of eons.
But where was it going? This epic journey across galaxies was almost over, and its final destination was coming into focus with, frankly, terrifying clarity.
You could literally watch the object's path start to change in the data. It came in hot, on what looked like a one-way ticket out, but then that tiny, intelligent thrust started to nudge it, ever so slightly, bleeding off speed and bending its trajectory. It wasn't leaving anymore. It was arriving. The trajectory plotters confirmed the absolute unthinkable. All of its precise, controlled maneuvers were pointing to one single outcome. It was going to hit Mars. Can you even imagine the scene in Mission Control? A mix of pure panic and wild excitement. Was this a weapon? A catastrophic failure on an ancient ship? Every satellite, every telescope, every single asset we had was pointed at Mars, just waiting to see what would happen.
In that final hour, the high-res images revealed its true form, a vast, dark, crystalline structure. As it skimmed the thin Martian atmosphere, right at that point of no return, it didn't burn up. It didn't impact. Instead, it fired a single, brilliant, silent pulse of light.
On screens back here on Earth, you can bet every single scientist held their breath. The object was still there, totally intact. The collision they had all braced for, it never happened.
That pulse of energy, that was its braking burn. It had killed its momentum with impossible precision. It hadn't come to crash, it had come to park. It had just executed a perfect, flawless orbital insertion maneuver.
And that is where we are right now. The visitor from another galaxy didn't just pass through, it stayed. It is silently orbiting the red planet as we speak, a vast, ancient, and intelligent artifact. The single greatest discovery in human history is now our next-door neighbor, and it leaves us with the most profound question we have ever had to ask ourselves. What do we do now?